Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Insiders with Liz and Amber, and we are brought to you by Giant TV Niagara. We are so grateful to be bringing the show to you again this week. Now, we did have some recording issues, didn't we, Amber? Trying to get
Yes.
on live. It wasn't working just like last week, so we
Yeah.
decided to record this week's session and bring it to you this way. And you can still ask your questions and stuff, but we are so excited to um, get back on the air and chat with you guys today. So without further ado, welcome, Amber.
Oh, welcome. Thank you so much for the introduction. And I'm excited to talk to you today about all the stuff that's spiritual and what's happening in the world around us and how does that affect our soul and our well-being. So it'll be a really nice topic today.
Exactly. Well, it's a bit of a heavy one, right? Like there's been a lot going on in the world, and the elephant in the room is the election that's just taken place in the States.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing the dynamic of human interaction where we've got polarizing sides, and it's interesting how their egos have taken over. I personally I get caught up in ego as well, like we all do, right?
Yeah.
So, it's not just that. There is the COVID situation, which is just devastating the planet. But again, the ego is a major player in that. I don't want to wear a mask. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to do how I want to do it. I'm still going to see who I want to see, go where I want to go. And it's just not working for us as a human race. So we did talk on the show about the feminine energy that's coming in 2021. And I don't know, do you want to kind of elaborate on that a little bit, Amber, on where that's going?
Yeah, I think, full disclosure from my point of view, I feel like I've never been one to follow religion. I don't follow the news.
Yeah.
And I did for years. And I tried to be educated in those things. And I tried to be involved because that's the way society says we had to do it. We had to be involved. We had to, be informed. Those are very important things. I think I just wanted to say that because my perspective today will be for those people that are in the world that have trouble really connecting to things that seem stressful, negative, or low vibration energy. And I think having said that, I'm looking forward to coming into 2021, which is a very feminine year, feminine energy. And the feminine side really allows us to simply be and to really allow us to go within. And, we're always using that term go within. And I don't know that all of you or all of us understand what that means, but essentially, going within allows you to listen to you as your compass because you have to be able to have a good relationship with yourself before you can start having really intelligent conversations, spiritually intelligent conversations with the things that you like or dislike or follow or don't follow when you don't even know what you're doing or what you like. So I'm looking forward to 2021 with that. So what about you? Like, what is your outlook? Because I know we're just rounding out 2020. It has been a tumultuous year. It has been a lot of year of growth. I know for myself and my family, a lot of people who aren't supposed to be in our lives are now out, whether we liked it or not. I know that jobs change, relationships with coworkers, friends, family, all of those things have been strained. It's almost like I always say to my clients, like, the universe is shaking out the rug and whatever lands is what's supposed to land and what doesn't is not supposed to be there. And that can be hard for our ego to swallow. So what are you looking forward to in terms of going into feminine?
Yeah, so I love the terminology shaking the rug out because that is absolutely how it's felt, right? We've all
Yeah.
been clinging on to the little fibers of what keeps us normal or sane, that old paradigm that we are
Mm-hmm.
so used to hanging out in.
Mm-hmm.
But with that came the stress and the drama and all of that. And that's what I'm looking forward to. I know working with you over the last year, just the transformations that we've had within our own selves, within our own business. But we've been working on it. And that's where, you know, I'm excited because if this is what I can accomplish during this chaos,
Yeah.
just imagine what we can accomplish beyond the chaos. It's just
True.
amazing. It's epic. And a
It's
lot of people will be that are listening and that are watching this are going to have the same awareness that,
yeah.
you know, despite everything that went down this year, they still thrived. They still
Oh,
climbed out of the hole.
absolutely.
They still rose to the occasion and were able to march in, you know, to whatever situation they found themselves in with their heads held high and their dignity intact.
Mhm.
Um, it is exciting. And one of the you know, moving into the feminine energy, I know I have a very masculine energy aura. I've always known that. Um, but I have been learning to soften myself um, because I think I had a masculine energy, like a protection energy or that shell or that wall up, which is very masculine, a defensive, right? And I'm letting that go and I'm good with that. I'm so good with that. So that's what's kind of exciting to me.
Absolutely. I think, when I was giving private sessions at the beginning of the year and even late into last year, I was saying to certain people, you're going to be transforming your business to be online based. And
Yeah.
my response was, that's impossible because I teach yoga. I'm a massage therapist. I teach self defense, whatever. But then I got phone calls later saying, I didn't understand it because I had to switch it to online. I was still able to thrive with my business, still hold yoga classes, still hold self-defense classes, and still maintain my business. And now I've got these great ideas because now this has forced me into, now I can pre-record and I can give people the option to do it at 3 a.m. if they want. So I think that, when we are looking at the ability to thrive during this chaos, we do really get that people are able to build better systems, better programs, and offer better customer service because let's face it, not everybody who can go out will go out, and not everybody who wants to see somebody in person can actually get to see someone in person. So for the versatility that this year has brought to us and the ability to connect with technology, and yeah, of course, as you can tell from last week's, we have issues with technology sometimes, and we have to learn patience and resilience and do things in a different way to still continue. But I think that's the biggest portion of it, is that evolution of ourselves. And I can agree with you and relate with you that I am also a very masculine energy. I lead with my masculine, and I always feel like that's what gets me to keep going, like keep trying something new, keep forward motion. So I always think to my higher self, like, is it a negative thing that you're,
No, I think
why is this a negative thing? But it's not, because I always see myself as like the running man or something. Like I'm always just moving forward. Okay, someone might trip me up, but guess what? I'm not going to sit in that. I keep going. So, there's not much that can happen that's going to get me into a space where that is a wounded masculine energy. That doesn't happen. And I think that's what is kind of unnerving to some people, is like, how do you continue to go? Like, how do people in that healthy masculine, because there's the difference, right? So when we're talking about wounded masculine, wounded feminine, or healthy, so those are the differences. So people that come out of this, like you and I have transformed and done things, and sure, we would love to be able to do it together in the studio, or sit together in the backyard or something, but we will one day. We'll get there. But it's definitely something we need to just like embrace, because this is temporary. That's the other thing I keep thinking is
100%.
yeah, we're in a temporary space. Like this isn't our forever. Like the human race is not always going to be in this exact situation. So let's think of it as a temporary state. let's do what we need to do in this state, and then we'll be moving on. Maybe in 15 years, I do see something else coming up more with the gastrointestinal tract, and we'll be in the same between 15 and 17 years from now. I do feel we'll be in the same situation, but will we? No.
No.
Yes and no,
Yeah.
because we will have all of these systems in place of what happens in Canada, what happens in the US, or what happens in every other country to respond to medical emergencies, to respond to worldwide pandemics. So we're doing the groundwork right now to get us to that next point where we're in a global health crisis, and we're doing it collectively. Just even on that itself was huge for 2020.
Oh yeah. I mean, when you think about, and you know, I like that you brought up wounded masculine, because that's where a lot of people are hanging out.
Yeah.
And they're not even aware that they're doing it. That's what's so concerning, because they haven't done the work to have the awareness.
Yes.
But that's part of, you know, we all kind of go there, you know, in our journey of spiritual awareness. We do have that wounded masculine phase that is, and the wounded feminine phase as well.
Yeah.
The poor me syndrome, and, you know, nobody loves me, that kind of crap. And then we go into, you know, anger and frustration with everybody and all that kind of stuff. But this is all part of the phases of growing spiritually. But the world collectively is raising its vibration. But there are so many, if we just look back at just the election that's just happened, the polarizing, you know, 50-50 split there of wounded masculine and awareness and awakened folks. You know, that's all kind of coming par for the course with the Great Awakening that we're stepping into as well. It's just higher awareness, and we don't got to take everybody so seriously. I'm a great believer that this is all, and we've talked about this, so I know you're on the same page, where the government situation that's going down in the States, like the States is just a drip of water in an ocean, of an entire ocean that's dealing with this you know, needing to be led, needing to be governed, needing, you know, like, we don't want it, but we want it. And part of the awareness of this, and the nasty taste we're all getting in our mouth over governments, is that we're moving away from that eventually.
Yes.
We must self-govern. The awareness is there. We're being shown it daily. And the only way to get on board and to feel comfortable in life is to be self-governing. We must take control of our lives and quit waiting for someone to fix us, save us, or pick us up and take us here and take us there. It doesn't work like that. It never has. And until we get that, we're going to need governing bodies. We're seeing us. So I see that coming, you know, over the next, I'm going to say 20 years, but I agree with you, another situation happening within the 14-15 year range. And we've talked about this on the show, about how we feel like the pandemic's going to carry on for another year and a half.
Yes.
You know, I got 2.5 years right from the get-go, and we're already through half of that. So like, and if everybody could just kind of think about where their mindset was at the beginning of that. Go back to March. For those of you listening and watching in Canada, go back to March. You were told 2 weeks and you lost it. And then 2 weeks went past and you carried that animosity. Like, you said 2 weeks and you said no mess. We're over that now for the most part. Like, we've moved on, and we're still here. We're still thriving. We're still getting further and further ahead in our lives. Nothing terrible. Like, I mean, for the most part, thank God the amount of people that have passed from this is a small margin of those that are catching it, but that's still devastating.
Absolutely. Those are each person that has passed is one person that is no longer able to be here to contribute to the collective spiritual energy. So that one person could have been responsible for the cure of cancer, or for the cure of the pandemic with COVID-19, or.
But, you know, I have a theory about those souls, you know, that have been chosen to be taken by this pandemic, and the masses. When you think of the worldwide collective, they have all chosen to leave, because I believe it's a choice the soul makes when we leave the world. They've all chosen to leave as a collective to bring a higher awareness to all of us left behind. So we have to make their passing count. And we have to make this, our lives so much better and aware to make their passings count, because I know they took one for the team, for the rest of humanity.
And that's what is always really important. And you and I share the same belief system in that, because our ego says, this is BS. We shouldn't lose anybody. This was too hard for me. It's hurt me. It's left me, right? But I think that, yes, we have to go.
She's gotta love motorcycles.
I've had beeping, I've had the cats going crazy. And you know what? And I had said this to you, Liz. I said at the beginning of this, I said, the technology is going to give us some trouble. The universe is going to give us trouble today, because we were talking about very, very heavy topics, and we have had every single interruption that is going on right now. So, okay, we'll just keep going. But yes, when you still have to, the human still has to grieve and go through those steps and to be able to see what is coming out of that. But this is true for every single human that has passed before, now, and in the future.
Yes.
The death has to result from the gravity of how impactful their life was. So if somebody lived, even if somebody was not someone who contributed to society in such a high level that you might expect, but their death has caused an outrage. So if we talk about, I'm not going to mention anybody, right? But in the sense of somebody's passing, and maybe their life wasn't exactly the way they expected it to be, but as a result of that, in their name, in their life, and in their memoriam, something way bigger is happening from that. Like out of death, and out of illness, and out of tragedy and weather, tsunamis, earthquakes, fires, out of all of those destructive low vibration energy experiences comes something completely over the rainbow, encrusted in gold, energy, high vibration. And we come together collectively to bring such beauty out of that. So yeah, you're right. We're gonna have to rise to the occasion and make their death and their life worth their sacrifice in order to help us move forward.
Yeah. And it's a lone sport, folks, right? It's not a team sport. On some levels, it is a team sport. Okay. So we all have to live together. We all have to see each other and interact eventually again with each other. But this is a lone sport. Spiritual awakening, connecting with self, that's a lone sport. No one can do that for you. No one can fix you, save you, protect you. These are all things we must take on for ourselves. And that's part of the Great Awakening, part of the feminine energy. Like you look at the difference, the feminine energy, women tend to, and this is just a great analogy to help everybody understand the feminine energy. Women are incredible creatures. They can have, they can create life. Men do too, but women are the ones that host it. They can have a baby and get up and work in a field within minutes. I mean, like this happens. Women are the multitaskers of the universe. We care for everybody. We think of everybody on all decisions that we make. The majority. There's going to be people out there right now going, not my ex-wife. I get that. Totally get that. But the majority, think of your mother, and if she wasn't a good result for you, then think of somebody, a female. You get the gist here. Whereas men tend to, and here, that's why I always say to people, I don't take the way men behave. They're very focused on their direction, focused on their, like obviously they've got motivation if it's a family or themselves or whatever, but their direction is singular. They focus singularly. They're laser focused on stuff. Whereas women have these incredible abilities to think of 20 things simultaneously and achieve all 20 things, and then, get up and make breakfast. You know what I mean? Like we just have that ability. And I'm not taking away, there's going to be people arguing, going, but I know men that do that. I'm a man and I can do that. Agreed. I get that. But I'm talking about the collective. we're moving into that time frame, this accountability that women tend to have for everyone. But, you know, one of our downfalls is we don't tend to think of ourselves. And that's where the masculine energy is the yin, the yang, right? Because men tend to think of themselves. They're very good at teaching women how to do that.
Yes.
And this is, you know, this is not a negative. I mean, if I could only think of one thing and be laser focused on one thing at a time, Amber, I would be like praising the Lord above, because I'm telling you, it would be great. And I'm sure men get frustrated because they can only think of, you know, typically the one target, which is typically their job or their family or whatever's happening right now in their moment. But you know, I know I'm going to get backlash for this, but I'm trying to make it so that it's explained as best I can.
Well, you know, you're entitled to your opinion, and you also
Right.
have to teach it. And it is not everybody's going to be everything and everybody and every person.
Right.
We're talking about the majority,
The
and there
majority.
are always exceptions to the rules for sure.
Exactly. So we're moving into that area, or that awareness where everyone's going to be uber responsible for self and others. So that is a big deal shift. That's a big deal, because we've been very singularly focused on my house, my family, my car, my this, my job, and not really focusing on the collective. Now we're going to be focusing on the collective. We don't have a choice but to, because we're connected, just this medium, how you're hearing us today. Everybody is aware of everything that's going on in the world, and you cannot unknow what you now know. So even like if you're not into politics and you're not into world events, you're not into news, you still know,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. I think the thing is too, is like with that, I often, wonder to myself, because I think, we've got this, we do, every person has that masculine and feminine energy, right? And tapping into, so that you are equally balanced. So you are like literally balanced. And that is sometimes not going to be ideal. That's not going to be the way that it is. And this is why relationships are so important. So if we talk about partnerships, whether they're same-sex partnerships or whether they're heterosexual partnerships, it doesn't matter. When a relationship and a partnership forms, you are essentially being encouraged. Well, say encouraged, because forced sounds terrible. But encouraged to balance. So your wife, who is able to be the multitasker and, a billion strings going at the same time, needs to learn from the partner. Excuse me, you can't be a multitasker and still do everything 100%. So let's focus. Don't get ahead of yourself. Focus on the thing that we're doing today. And then that is that, karmic partnership that we get that encourages the balance. And then we get into situations where the ego and the soul are fighting. They're fighting each other because they know this is exactly what I'm supposed to be thinking or doing. But my ego says, you can't tell me I'm wrong. You can't tell me this. You can't. Because how are you making me feel? And essentially, it's just, every single thing in the world can boil down to the biggest war of all time,
100%.
the soul against the ego. And those are the things, when you're in a relationship, think about that. Think about, do you want to advance your soul? Do you want to learn these lessons? And of course, knowing the difference between, things can be abusive, yes, and that's not okay. So knowing the difference between encouragement and soul growth, to you need boundaries and you potentially are in a situation that you need to start working out. And that's part of your situation as well. So everyone has different things. But at the end of the day, I can say, even with this election and the ones before and the ones coming up, they all started with the society wanting to do better for the community. So
100%.
they all started with, let's do good. Let's do good. Someone should go and do something. Everybody always says that someone should do this. Someone should do that. Someone should take care of this. Well, who the heck is someone? Someone has to be you. So stand up, do something, even if it's little, a tiny little drop, it ripples out into the pond. But then we have the ego.
somebody should do something about this. And we've talked about this on the show. And I started, if I ever utter those words out of my mouth, I am that somebody, and I'm forcing myself to step into that world. And let me tell you, folks, I challenge everybody listening and watching this to take on that challenge. If those words come out of your mouth, somebody needs to do something about this. You now are in control of that. You have to do something. And it's not a major, like, get on the world stage kind of gig. You don't got to do that. You just got to change something.
Yeah.
You got to bring awareness to something, whatever it is. And that little, like Amber said, it's a ripple. Everybody collectively doing their role or playing their role and getting out of their ego, which is the depressed, or this isn't working out, F my life is the common phrase you see all over the social media, right?
FML, hashtag.
Yeah, right?
Hashtag FML.
It's just like, do you have any like idea of how detrimental energetically that saying is to you? Like, it's just a non-starting, it's like a beginning and end and a flat line. Just don't even use that. It just doesn't work manifesting that kind of crap into your life. It is absolutely, always within your control. Every situation, how you feel is totally within your control. And we've talked about this as well, how no one has the power to make you feel any certain way, anxious, angry, sad, overwhelmed. So when we talk about partnerships, which I'm glad you brought that up, Amber, because, a lot of the September, October energy was about partnerships, right? Like, everybody was, reaching out for readings over their relationships. And so we have to take a step back and get out of our ego's path, because ego tells us that we're right or righteous and that we have the right to feel this way. And I feel right about this. And I'm angry and I'm a victim and, just let that go, guys. Let it go, folks. It's just not working. It's not working for you, and it's not working for those around you.
I feel this, Liz. I feel, as you're describing this, I see standing in front of the campfire and thinking, wow, this campfire looks gorgeous. I love the smell of the campfire. It's so cozy. There's so many good memories. I'm just going to put my arm out and let the fire burn me. And then I'm going to say the fire's burning me and I should move it. And it's the fire's fault, but I'm going to keep burning my arm. Like, I keep having this visualization. Like, and this is the thing, is that, we have been, as a society, from a very young age, taught, do not offend someone. Do not say something that's going to hurt someone's feelings. Don't back out. Don't let people down. Blah, 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 blah. And the list goes on. But what that comes into is, well, I shouldn't say that somebody talking down to me is hurting my feelings. I shouldn't say to somebody that, like, I have to own my own feelings because you've done that, but I can't say that because I'm not supposed to say that. So I think there's a lot of the different terminologies that we're using in terms of like teaching our children and being taught to, and then healing our wounded inner child. Because I remember I was shaking my leg one day at a doctor's appointment, and my mom said, "Oh, Amber, honey, don't shake your leg because it's going to bother all the other people, that all the chairs might be connected." And I thought to myself, I was like, oh my God, another thing I got to remember, like, so that I'm not, like, it was just, and to me, I'm thinking, wow, my mom is so considerate that she's thinking of, yeah, don't be that annoying kid that's doing that. But to me, it was almost like one more thing that now it's like, okay, well, now I'll just stand because I don't know if I'm going to move too much and someone's going to be annoyed by me moving. But that's not okay. That mentality is not okay. But you don't know how your brain, your ego starts to unfold those things. Right. So I challenge you guys to really consider the terms that we're using to say, don't do this, you should do that, and see what it actually means to you. Because when you say something, it could just be very generalized, but we're going to take it in a whole different way. And then in turn, we're reacting, behaving, and essentially responding to it about how we understand it. So those relationships of, oh, I'm the victim, turns into, it goes back to potentially, well, I was told I shouldn't speak up for myself because it's going to hurt someone else's feelings. And then now I can't say something. So people who feel victimized really do feel like their hands are tied.
Oh yeah, 100%.
They can't do it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, where did you get that? And start dealing with that demon, that little gremlin that's just, and then really, really get in touch with your higher self. And this is what 2021 is bringing us.
I'm so excited about that because, I'm not inept from that type of energy. But one of the things that I remember having a conversation with my guides a few years back, like we're going back a while, because I was offended by something somebody had said to me. And I remember going like, why do they have to do that? What's the deal with that? Why is that happening? Like, why, like, this isn't the first time this person's been offensive. Why does this keep happening? And the awareness that I got was that person has never been any different. It's you who is changing your perception of how to take or receive what they're giving you. Mm-hmm. And the power and the control over your own ego is within that very moment where you can go, I don't have to take that anyway. I don't have to be connected to that drama or that painful comment or that, like we've all got that family member who's like, oh, it's nice that, but your hair would be nicer this way. Or, you got to wear those clothes or, like just little sharp little dings that, are just off the cuff remarks by this person. But we have arranged that person in our mind to be self-critical of us and uber concentrated on us and our lives. And we just think every time we're around them, they're going to criticize us. So we're waiting for that ding. And then we take it like a knife to the heart, Yeah. And the reality is they're just having a comment. Mm-hmm. And if they're that invested in your life, which I can guarantee you, nobody is that invested in your life. Literally nobody, not even mothers. I mean, we are invested. Don't get me wrong. We're invested. But as you grow older, for all the adults in this space right now, listening and watching, we're not that invested. We're just not. We have our own world to be invested.
Right? Children make their own decisions that they have to live and deal with. And all we can do is stand by, guide them to do the best thing. And at the end of it, we're not even that up in your business.
That's so. Right. And so like when you brought up, our childhood or our child, give me the term again. Sorry.
Oh, wounded inner child.
Wounded inner child. When we're having wounded inner child challenges, this is cellular memory from your past. It has nothing to do with the present. Mm-hmm. So your anger and resentment is deeply rooted and it's hung on from like when you were probably under 10.
Yes. And with that wounded inner child, and you've got these karmic, stories and the karmic experiences you're supposed to be having that you're born into and you've got to play out. It is the backlash to a specific person in your family or in your friend group or whatever. So you end up almost really like hyper focusing on this one person who's in your life for nothing but pure goodness and love and growth and to be the role that they were assigned to be for you. And you're just that big ego monster's in there and making every single thing hyper focused about that person to twist them into this gremlin. And that's not about the person. That's about you. Like that is about you. And that's what you have to kind of live with and deal with. And can you fix it? Yes, we can fix anything. We can work through it together.
It's literally like having an easy button.
Yeah.
If you can determine who those challenges are for you and recognize that you're the one creating the problem, that's an easy button.
Mm.
because you're the one in control of your feelings and emotions.
Yeah. And then the people that are as a result of this, and we talked about like, do we participate and do we not? I mean, I choose this all the time. Like, I'm not participating in this drama. Like, so we're going to remove ourselves from a dramatic experience or a low negative vibration experience, because at the end of the day, if something is, like you're supposed to do this, like you're going to die on this hill today, then we do it. If we feel like, no, we're getting sucked into some dramatic experience that has nothing to do with us, it has to do with you, then you can remove yourself from that situation and still be okay. And when it's ready to circle back around, then you can, but you don't have to participate in it. You don't, and that's where I go to with the politics and the news and all of that, because I know I'm making a choice to not participate. If something was that important, because this is what people have said to me over the years, what if there's a war started or so? I said, I guarantee you someone out in my neighborhood will tell me. I guarantee you my mom will phone me. I guarantee you someone will tell me. Like, I think that there are too many opportunities for us to justify living in a state of chaos and feeding our ego with the drama, that we're justifying it instead of saying, look, I can take myself out of this and I can still sleep at night. And as a matter of fact, I'm not carrying anything that's not mine.
That's right.
Yeah.
And having a predetermined or awareness of somebody, like where we're seeing, I'm just going to go back and shift back because it's the elephant in the room, to politics on the American side of things. There's so many people on social media freaking out over the polarization that's happening there. It's a 50-50 thing. And that they've got these deep-rooted anger issues towards those people. And so many people have denied them on social media, like they've shut them down. Like this has been like the thing over the last 4 years, deleting people, right? I haven't deleted anybody off my page unless they've been coarse, like rude or like rude as in like swearing or, causing chaos. Somebody who has opinions to me is not causing chaos. I want to be informed.
And not to interrupt you, because I really want to hear where you're going with this, but I meant to say this a little earlier. Because someone has an opinion does not mean that they are attacking you per se. You can have a difference of opinion as long as you understand that it's an opinion. It's not actual physical attack or a verbal attack. Because, we might not want to have what your opinion is. So that doesn't match my expectation of wanting you to be on my side. So therefore, I have to deal with that myself. See, that's another inner thing. My expectations aren't being matched, but that doesn't mean that person was wrong for having an opinion. So yes, sorry, I needed to say that.
That's exactly what I was going to say. The bottom line is, just because somebody is different or looks different or votes for this side or has this team as their favorite team or whatever it is, we're all flesh and blood and we all come from the same family background in that we were born to a mother and a father. Some of us may not have been raised with those folks or been raised outside of that family dynamic, but the bottom line is we all come from the same flesh and blood. So we are all human. And yes, we've all been raised very differently and there will be polarizing awarenesses, but just because someone's differed from yours doesn't mean you have to dislike them. You get to choose who energetically matches your energy. Sometimes you're supposed to teach and sometimes you're supposed to learn. It's not always, you're not always right. And you got to step back and associate yourself with, am I learning or am I teaching in this moment? And neither of those are aggressive. Neither of those need to be anger moments. Having control of your feelings and emotions is probably the most powerful thing one can do. And does that mean that I have complete control over my power, over my feelings and emotions? Absolutely not. You can just ask my husband that. He'll tell you, no, she doesn't. But for the most part, where I would hang out in anger or hang out in the bitterness or hang out in victim, I don't do that anymore. I can be angry over a situation because my human reaction is to be angry over something, but then I let it go. I recognize that it's not mine to hang on to. I recognize that it's not serving me. Energetically, I don't feel good when I'm angry. In fact, I feel like my lowest self, lowest version of myself when I'm angry.
Well, that's the thing, because you're not operating when we are having those emotions, we're not operating in our highest level of vibration, which means we can't hear our higher self. We can't see the bigger picture. We can't act and behave with what's in the best interest of us, of you, of me, of anything. When you're acting like that and you're responding out of emotion, in those lower vibration emotions, you're changing the course for everybody based on your own fears, sadnesses, worries, concerns. And then now everybody has to kind of adjust or remove themselves from that. So I think, the one thing that my husband and I have always done is when there's something that has come up that's stressful or hurtful or sad or anxious or whatever, because both of us are very fiery, like we both have like passion and fire in our bellies. What we've decided to do over the years is when something causes us to be stressed, we immediately do something fun. So if we're hurt, stressed, sad, upset, angry, whatever, and we identify that, because sometimes it takes a minute to identify what state we're in, because you're like, you go from like 0 to 100 in a second, but then all of a sudden you're like, ooh, I don't like the way that feels. So once we identify that, that's when we go for a walk, we go out to dinner, we sit and have a fire, we, watch a movie, or we like go for a road trip, because guess what? There's no benefit to us sitting in that negative vibration, because we're not going to be in there. Neither of us will be in there. So we're going to go and do something that's going to be raising our vibration, because ultimately at the end of the day, whatever's supposed to happen will happen, but we're not participating in the process that's going to bring it down into this level.
It's perfect.
So that's our technique.
Our technique, my husband and I's technique, is to have the moment where we have our little fear, because that's basically what anger is. It's fear, right?
Yep.
So we'll have our little explosion. And then we immediately revert back to, okay, so there's a deep level of respect. And I remember, having the conversation at the very beginning. We have the potential to have the very best relationship on the planet. And we also have the potential to have the very worst relationship on the planet.
That is a twin flame.
Right? And we have to choose in the moment how we want that to play out. Because if we choose the wrong side, there's a really good, strong possibility that we won't survive. So I like survive the relationship, right? Yeah. Not like I'm going to take him out or anything. But
one of us is going down, and
one of us is going down. Exactly. But, because we have that higher awareness, we will be very consciously aware after a sharp word or two that it gets back to normal very quickly. Yeah. There's that level of respect there. Okay, we've had our moment. We've both got to say our say. And now what's next? What can we do to fix this? How can we move on from this? And we don't hang on. Mm-hmm. I do my very best. I mean, I am female after all. And one of our wonderful traits is to bank all that stuff, right? So I do my very best, but for the most part, that's how we operate. And
I'm laughing because it's just so relatable. Like, I mean, I think every single person listening today will be able to say that they have had a difference of opinion with their partner. And, ultimately the reason why we get so irate is because we want that person to do what we want them to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is no, I'm going to compromise. There's all selfishness where we're like, no, I'm right. You're going to do what I want. And, we're painting the bedroom blue. I don't care. And I'm going to stand on that hill until I get what I want. But I think it can be laughed about because at the end of the day, this is what it's about. So anybody thinking that they're going to go through a whole relationship without this experience of differences of opinions or arguments or whatever you want to classify it as, I think that's the part we're taking ourselves too seriously, because man, like my husband and I, we kill ourselves laughing about some of the things. He'll say, did you really say that? And I'm like, I did. You know, so I think that it's important to laugh too later about, you know, yeah, it sucked at the time,
Yeah.
but you know, we're getting through it. It's okay. And you know, like what can we get out of this? But I think I just find comfort, maybe someone else will, in knowing that every other freaking relationship will have that. You know, different, there's a scale, a sliding scale, but at the same time, it is what it is.
Yeah. 100%. Love that. Love that. Well, on that note, I think we should end the show, my darling.
Oh, I hate ending our show.
I know, but you know, we've almost been an hour, and
Ooh.
I know. And you know, for everybody that's watching, I just want to do a quick shout out to the winners from last week's show and everybody that tried to tune in to the show last week. That was quite a nightmare. But definitely stay tuned. Next Friday, we'll be back on. Hopefully we'll be able to get back on live. If not, you'll get it the same way. What were you going to say?
I was going to say we will be on next Friday, but then the following Monday, we have a very, very special guest.
Yes.
Aboriginal medium Sean Leonard is going to be joining us. And oh my God, I'm so excited because it's going to be such an amazing show and an opportunity to connect with him. And he is brilliant in what he does. And he's a force. He's a Canadian force. So you are going to want to tune into that too. So I'm excited.
So not this Friday, next Monday, folks, is when you're going to want to tune in. Well, it has been absolutely a pleasure as usual.
Yes, it has. And I love having chats with you and figuring out soul and ego and life all together. So we're doing it together, sister.
I know. And everybody who's chimed in and who's listened or watched, thank you for joining us. And we hope you benefited from this conversation.
Yes.
Have a wonderful. Bye, guys. We love you.